HOA officers demolished my ranch house I sued and had their entire board removed. The bulldozers roared at dawn, their metal jaws ripping through my ranch house like it was paper. I stood frozen, watching 30 years of memory as me late wife's garden, my son's treehouse, the porch where we'd watched countless sunsets reduced to rubble. Karen Wentworth, the HOA president, stood at the edge of my property, her designer heels sinking into the dirt, a smirk curling her lips as she barked orders. She declared my home an eyesore, a violation of her pristine neighborhood vision. I'd begged for months, offered to repaint, to fix the sagging roof, but Karen didn't care. She wanted my land for her pet project, a community pavilion to boost her status. By noon, my home was gone, and with it my heart. But as I sifted through the debris, clutching a photo of my wife, I swore I'd fight back. The truth unraveled like a bad dream. Karen had manipulated the HOA board, twisting bylaws to justify the demolition. My ranch, a modest but sturdy home on 5 acres, predated the HOA's formation. I'd inherited it from my father, who'd built it with his own hands. The land was grandfathered in, exempt from their rules, but Karen didn't care about facts. She'd forged signatures, ignored my appeals, and pushed through a vote to condemn my property. I hired a lawyer, Sarah, a sharp woman who'd grown up on a farm and despised HOA tyrants. She dug into the records and found a bombshell. Karen had bribed a county official to fast-track the demolition permit. Worse, she'd been skimming HOA funds for years, funneling them into her personal account. The pavilion? A front to inflate property values for her own mansion's sale. Sarah and I built a case, gathering testimonies from neighbors too scared to speak up before. One, an elderly woman named Mrs. Carter, revealed Karen had threatened to fine her $10,000 for her rose bushes unless she voted yes. The betrayal stung, but it fueled me. Then came the twist. My estranged brother, Tom, showed up. I hadn't seen him in a decade, not since our fight over Dad's will. He'd moved to the city, cut ties, and I'd assumed he'd sided with the HOA types. But Tom had heard about the demolition through a mutual friend and drove out to see the wreckage. He was a real estate lawyer now, and guilt had brought him back. "I should have been here," he said, kicking a broken plank. He joined Sarah's team, unearthing more dirt. Karen's husband, a contractor, was set to profit millions from the pavilion deal. Tom's expertise turned our case airtight. His return wasn't just legal help. It was a flicker of hope that my family, like my fight, could be salvaged. The courtroom showdown was electric. Karen strutted in, her lawyer dripping with confidence, but Sarah and Tom were relentless. They presented emails, bank records, and Mrs. Carter's tearful testimony. Karen's smirk faded as the judge's questions grew sharper. She tried to spin a tale of community betterment, but her lies crumbled when Sarah revealed a hidden email where Karen mocked me as a hillbilly squatter. The gallery gasped. I locked eyes with her, and for the first time, I saw fear. The judge didn't just rule in my favor. He ordered an investigation into the entire HOA board. Karen's allies, complicit in her schemes, scrambled to distance themselves, but it was too late. The courtroom buzzed as the gavel fell, and I felt my wife's spirit beside me, urging me on. Karen's empire collapsed spectacularly. The investigation exposed fraud, coercion, and a web of corruption tying the board to local developers. Karen faced criminal charges for embezzlement and bribery, her mansion seized to cover restitution. The HOA was dissolved, its board ousted, and my neighbors, once silent, rallied to rebuild my home. Volunteers cleared debris, donated materials, and even planted a new garden in my wife's honor. Karen, stripped of her power, was last seen selling her designer clothes online to pay legal fees. I walked through my new home, simpler but stronger, with Tom at my side. We were rebuilding more than a house. We were mending our bond. Standing on my new porch, I realized this fight wasn't just for me. It was for everyone crushed by petty tyrants like Karen, who wield power to destroy lives. I won because I refused to stay broken, because truth and grit outlast greed. What do you think when is it right to stand up to bullies like Karen, And how far would you go to protect what's yours? Share your thoughts.